Hello dear tea friends from around the world, and welcome to a new tea class with me, Stéphane Erler, the founder of the Tea Masters blog and the tea-masters.com boutique. Today we are going to talk about green tea because the spring has come and it's not Qingmingjie yet, April 5th, which is actually the end for the harvests of top grade green tea. So one way to make sure that you get really a top quality green tea is to order your green tea before this date of April 5th, and also to make sure that the producer or the seller sends you his tea before that date. Otherwise, I've seen that trick before, that you order before that date, but then they argue with our delays, and it's only sent afterwards, so they are able to put some not so fresh green tea in your package. So this is just a little trick. Today we have a green tea that is picked way before this date. It was picked on March 13th of this year. BiLuoChun from Hsia in Taiwan. And the first question that I'm going to answer is a question I received yesterday from Olena, very regular viewer of this show. She's in Ukraine, and apparently in a region in the west where there's less trouble. So I'm really very glad to hear that she's fine and that she's still following my tea classes. So thank you very much for watching, Olena, and also for sharing these posts. And so your question was, what makes Taiwan green tea specific? What makes it different from Chinese green teas, and also from Japanese green teas? Actually, the major difference is in the process. Chinese green teas are mostly pan-fried, so they use these large woks to stop the oxidation. You can see that they use hands on this wok to move the leaves in a certain way depending on what tea they are producing. So the movements will be different if they are producing Longjing, which is flat, or if they are producing BiLuoChun, which is more curly and with lots of hair. This is really the major way that it's done in China, and you can also look at to see a little trick who is expert or not. And the experts don't wear gloves; they use their bare hands. It's the non-experts who use gloves. That's one trick to spot the experts. The stopping of the oxidation is done differently in Japan. It's made with steam. That's also another reason why Japanese greens, sencha, taste so completely different from Chinese greens. And in Taiwan, we are not using pan frying. We are using like big ovens that can also be used for oolong to stop the oxidation. So this it's called Hongqing to stop the oxidation, and therefore it allows a bit larger quantities, and it will be a bit different, but still lots of freshness in this green tea. One of the very important factors of quality for green tea is the date of harvest, and to harvest very early in the season when the temperatures are still very cool at night, but when there is also sunshine to make the leaves grow, but not too hot, so that they would not grow too large, too strong. And also when it's not raining, like today it's raining in Taiwan. and so it's yesterday was quite warm. So this is a time that is not a good time for harvesting green tea. It's still better to harvest on a sunny day, because on a sunny day the leaves are the driest, and then they require less work to be processed, to be dried, and more work will impart less good flavors. Especially you don't get these very bright sunny flavors if it's been raining when the tea is harvested. So we are lucky with this March 13 Hsia BiLuoChun. We have green tea that was really this is really literally the first batch of the year in Hsia, and so it's as green, as fresh as it gets. Now the question is for how do we brew it? Now this is the main part of my expose of my class today. Last year, if you watch my tea class for a while, you will notice that I've used Gaiwan. Oh, by the way, it's going to be soon 2 years that I'm making these videos, so an early anniversary to these videos. Maybe we'll celebrate next week when the time is really come to celebrate. But since it's now 2 years, so I've done. It's not the first time I'm talking about green tea. So I wanted to go more into the way of brewing green tea. Green tea has the advantage that it is the tea with the longest history in China. It's already started in the Tang Dynasty, when the leaves were crushed and then cooked with a pinch of salt. Cooked not for a long time, very shortly. Then in the Song Dynasty, the leaves were crushed, were grounded to powder, so even more finely, and then they were whisked in such a bowl. Then it's during the Ming Dynasty that they would use larger teapots. Oh, sorry, I did not bring one. We can say, a large teapot to make green tea, and maybe in the Qing Dynasty then they started with using Gaiwan or silver teapots, and more recently in China I think the standard has become to use simply such a glass of water to brew tea. The advantage is that it's transparent and you can see through, and glass is free, is quite cheap compared to what porcelain used to cost. So what is the best method? What is the traditional method? What is a liberal method? And we are going to use some concepts that are a bit political. I don't want to make politics, as I've said in the past. Tea should be apolitical, but there are still things that we can learn from the past, and I want to make this class about this concept of learning from the past. So here we can already see that there are so many different traditional methods of making green tea that to say simply we are going to use the tradition to make green tea does not help us so much, because there are so many different traditions to choose from, like maybe even there are some variations in the traditions for green tea. In British service will be definitely a larger teapot. In North Africa they will use mint with green tea and sugar. So there are really lots of traditions. So traditions is also linked to geography and culture. So for green tea, what is the method that we should use? Now, well, let's say the most recent tradition is to use glasses. If you go to China, you will notice that in many tea houses they simply use glass to make green tea. What about that? The advantage is, as I just said, that glass is maybe you can say this is really a progressive approach, because glass is a new material was new in China at least. It came to China after porcelain, whereas in Europe actually it's the contrary. There was first glass and then porcelain long time after. The other advantage of glass is that it's much cheaper than porcelain, so this allows more people to brew tea than porcelain, because it's much more affordable, and it has the advantage that you can see through the glass. So yeah, maybe this is one way to look at brewing from progress, and that this is a new material for that is cheaper, more available, and therefore it is progress. We should use glass to brew. A different approach is to say, no, I'm a millionaire, I can afford the best, the most expensive thing, like this silver teapot. Therefore, I'm looking down on something like glass. It's too cheap. No, I really want the most expensive thing. This reminds me, I once went to a restaurant with a very rich Taiwanese billionaire, and when it was time to choose the wine, he said, "Oh, Stefan, come with me. We are going to choose a wine. You know, I don't nothing about wine, so I simply choose the most expensive one." For him, that was. Of course, he was so busy with his work, to a self-made man who became billionaire, so he did not have so much time to learn about French wines, so he simply picked the most expensive one. We went to a seafood restaurant, and he picked a very expensive Chateau Latour, I still remember. Was very fine wine, but did not match really the food we were eating on that day. So bad luck. This approach also did not work so well. The approach of being a very maybe very conservative, very old traditions. We go back to maybe the oldest, most revered traditions of making tea, like in Japan, the Chanoyu, which is really traditions that have been passed from one generation to another. And this is the kind of bowl, Jenyang, black glazed bowl that they would use. And then, but the tea is not powder. This green tea is not crushed to powder. So, can we crush this tea to powder to make it like a matcha, and then whisk it in this Jenyang bowl? Well, the answer is no. These leaves are not suitable for making matcha out of them. Actually, the farmer made some green tea powder with his green tea, green leaves, but the taste is much more bitter than matcha. So it's not because there is a very old tradition that exists for green tea that it's necessarily suitable for the green tea that you want to use. Same with this silver teapot. Actually, I give you the answer now. This silver teapot is very good for green tea. This is what Lu has already said in the charging, but because it is very pure, and it is going to enhance all the aromas because of the conductivity of the heat in the silver teapot. But the green tea must be very, very perfect. Only buds. Here, this Taiwanese BiLuoChun is not picked only one bud. You will also have some a bit more mature leaves, because otherwise it would really cost too much. If we only kept the bud, so this is more like a Ishin Oye, one bud and two very small leaves. If we were only to take the one bud, then the price of this tea would go up by probably a factor of 10. The quality would probably also go much higher, and then maybe it would be possible to use it with the silver teapot. But because you will notice that there are also some larger leaves in it, it is not suitable for a silver teapot. So here I'm already starting to give the answer of what is the approach that we are seeking when we are making tea. We are not seeking to be complete traditionalists, complete following old traditions only. We are also not necessarily going to use the latest fads, because the other test you can do with glass is that glass is actually fired at a lower temperature than porcelain, and it does not handle the heat as well as porcelain, and therefore tea brewed in glass will have I call it like it will be a bit foggy. The taste won't be as clear as in porcelain, or even less than in silver. So it will look nice. This is a positive thing, but the taste won't be as bright and as clear as with different material. Therefore, the latest fads is also not necessarily what is the most suitable. But so how do we find really what is the most suitable for us? Of course, first it must be something that we have on hands. We need to be practical, and the idea is to use the knowledge that was gained over 1,000 years of tea brewing, tea experimenting between the different dynasties, and starting with Lu Yu, because Lu Yu, he really wrote a very comprehensive book about all the dimensions of tea, from where it is produced, when it is picked, with which tools, how it is prepared, with which water, at what temperature should this water be boiled, in which bowls it should be drunk. So this all these ancient tea people, they've made lots of different experiments, and we don't need to start experimenting from scratch again. We can use all their knowledge and all the different ways that I've just explained in these different dynasties, from Tang, Song, Ming and Qing, to understand how as tea evolved from being crushed, powder, whole leaf, and later becoming turning into oolong or red tea, how the brewing adapted. So this helps us also to adapt our green tea that we are going to brew to the way we are going to use to brew it. To make it more simple, so we think, okay, we have now this tea. How is this tea best brewed with this teaware? So as I already said, silver is a great material for buds, for the purest and highest quality of green tea. But this tea is not only buds, it also has a bit larger leaves, therefore I'm not going to use it. I'm also not going to use a glass because of this foggy taste that I have experienced. And one thing is, I also encourage you to try it. Don't take my word for granted. But especially it's because it's a technique used by many people in China. Therefore, it does have some advantages, especially on the price and on the beauty of watching the leaves. But you can also get the beauty of watching the leaves in a bowl. It does not have necessarily to be in a glass. Therefore, I'm not going to use this. But there are many new ways that come up. Some people say, "Oh, you brew it with cold water overnight or for a long period of time. Brew it, I don't know, in this newest mug." So we don't have to try all the new methods. By using the traditional ways of making tea, we can find already the answers of which ways are suitable and which ways are not suitable. For instance, Louis really explained the importance of the quality of water and the temperature of water, and therefore we're not going to touch on this because here he already arrived to something that is to perfection. So here we don't need to further think of ways to make it more perfect. Now, these two methods I demonstrated a few weeks ago. The bowl method and the Gaiwan method when I was testing tea like Bugatti on the Autobahn, on the highway. So you remember maybe from this test that I found out that the bowl gave the lightest aromas compared to the Gaiwan, because when you have a lid and you can put a lid on your bowl, there's a higher temperature inside, and this allows for more aromas to come out. However, since green tea is tea that is really about the lightest taste and the lightest fragrances in spring, therefore I think that a bowl actually is a very good way of brewing green tea, especially one like this that has also some larger leaves. Therefore, this time I'm not going to use the Gaiwan. I'm going to use my bowl, like in the article that I wrote yesterday and I've put on my blog Tea Masters. So let me show you today how to brew in a bowl. By the way, we are still using inspiration from the past, because I'm using a bowl that was a kind of bowl that was used during the Song Dynasty, the Jianyang black glazed bowl. We can see this one is not made of porcelain, but of Jianyang glaze with a high iron content, because it is it has a dark and some iron color at the foot. I have a video with more details about this kind of bowl in the secrets of Song Dynasty style tea. You can check in my collection on YouTube. And this bowl really has the advantage that it keeps the temperature high thanks to its clay and large glaze, thick glaze, and therefore and it will have a nice contrast with its color with the green leaves. So first thing we are doing is to preheat our water and to now preheat the bowl. We are also going to preheat our cups in which we are going to drink our water. For the cups I've chosen Celadon cups to enhance the green of the tea brew. For green tea, I'd like to remind you that there are 3 different ways of brewing green tea in such a bowl. We can first put all the leaves and then the water, or what I'm going to do, fill the bowl to a half, then carefully add the leaves, and then carefully add the rest of the water. Okay, well, the third way would be to fill the bowl completely with boiling water and then add the leaves. With our spoon we can also gently mix the leaves and let them turn maybe. We can notice that some of the leaves are floating on the surface, others are below. And now we have the pleasure of seeing them unfold. So we have the same benefit as with glass, to see these fresh tiny leaves and buds open up little by little. The fresh green color offers a very nice contrast with the dark glaze of the bowl, so it's really very nice. We can already start to smell the fresh scents of the tea that are released by the leaves. It's very flowery because this plantation in Hsia has lots of flowers planted all around the plantation, which is not very big. It is an organic plantation now. They have been transitioning for a while, and now the transition is complete. And this really helps to give the taste a very, very pure taste. Try to so we can continue to observe the leaves and make sure when the scent is right to pour in the cups. So this is we are in the spirit of the Ming Dynasty with where the large bowl. They used large teapots, and we are using a bowl that can also be used for Song Dynasty tea preparation. Therefore, it is suitable for tea. Just we are reinventing it a little bit. So here we are making something new with something old, with old principles. And we are applying all the knowledge from the past, and we are mixing different ways, different teaware. We are using also a newer teaware. These cups definitely are new. And we obtain the typical scent of and typical taste of green tea in Taiwan, which for me is sweetness. Therefore, Taiwanese teas in general are really known for their natural sweetness, that you never need to add any sugar. And this is also very true for this green tea, which I feel is sweeter than green teas from other countries. And it's really very, very light. Of course, now the longer we let the leaves brew, the stronger the brew. If it becomes too strong, then simply add some boiling water to the leaves. And now, even if it becomes stronger, you don't feel, and it does not have any bitterness or astringency. So then it's really a matter of taste, how strong, how concentrated you like. But in general, green tea is supposed to be brewed rather light for freshness. If it's too concentrate, usually it will become almost unbearable, because it will feel too fresh, too cold, and even from the body point of view, a body cannot take so much freshness all at once. But at a light concentration, it's really very, very comfortable, very nice, very tasty. Let's continue. And you can see it's really a very relaxed way of brewing tea. and you enjoy the leaves, and you don't really worry about how. Yeah, we're not looking at our watch to see how long it has been brewing. Very nice, flowery, high notes. Really lots of finesse and elegance in this tea. Here you go. Okay, I hope you found this class interesting about the different ways of brewing and which thought process to use to be able to innovate and respect traditions at the same time. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again for next week for another tea class and our 2nd year anniversary of these videos. Thank you very much. Bye bye.